Welcome, brothers, to another show. Today I have a world traveler and my brother, No Excuse Entertainment. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, man, we had ran into each other. I think when we were both leaving Colombia for a moment, right? We had ran into each other on the airplane.
Oh yeah. That was like a month ago, man. You was on your way to DR, I think, and I was getting ready to go to Africa.
Right. Yes, exactly, man. So tell us how the countries you've been to thus far, brother.
So thus far, man, I've been to Belize,
Mm.
Brazil, DR, Colombia, Japan,
Oh wow,
Philippines, Thailand, South Africa, Ethiopia.
wow, you well traveled, bro. Nice. And what would be your favorite country right now?
Right now, my favorite country is South Africa, man.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was
But
Thailand, but now South Africa.
now you prefer Thailand, South Africa over Colombia?
Yeah, definitely to visit.
Excellent. And what made you decide to go to South Africa? This was your first time going to South Africa, right?
Yeah, it's my first time going to South Africa. First time in Africa, period.
Mm-hmm. Now a lot of brothers that in these travel circles, we pretty much frequent South America and the Caribbean. What made you decide to explore countries outside that little circle?
Well, I kept hearing about guys, encouraging like, man, y'all need to visit Africa, man. It's an untapped gold mine, and I wanted to, you know, I'm getting older now, and I wanted to, make sure I hit up Africa, man, before I feel like it got too late, man. And I always had an affinity for, Afro women, and I was just like, you know what? Let me, this opportunity is now, and I recently turned 40, so I was like, my birthday gift to myself would be to go to Africa for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned that like Afro girls, in Colombia they got a lot of beautiful Afro Latinos in Colombia and Brazil as well. Um,
Yes.
what is the big difference that you see between Afro Latinas and actual women in South Africa?
Well, I would say the Afro Latinas. Um, I see more similarities and differences. The ones that call themselves Afro, whatever, Afro Brazilian, Afro Colombian,
Mm-hmm.
they embrace being African, whether it's through their hairstyles, wearing the natural, or some of the clothing that they wear. It could have like certain. I've seen Brazilian girls with like African print type clothing,
Mm-hmm.
wearing braids, for example. So
Mm-hmm.
you see that a lot in Brazil and Colombia. DR is a lot of people consider like DR, for example. The women are black. They consider them like a light skinned black woman too. But the Dominicans in general, even the dark ones, they don't really embrace their Afro side. They're just
100% correct.
Latinos. They're just
100%
Latinos.
correct. A hundred
Yeah.
percent correct. It's the weirdest thing in the world because a Dominican, and shout out to the DR, shout out to the Dominicans, man. They'll be like a shade lighter than you, but you can tell they kind of like because one of my homeboys looks Dominican, and
Right.
they'll be like, "Hey, you my brother, you my brother." And they'll look at you like, "Huh, where you from?" You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's most definitely, man. And to a certain degree, it throw you off a little bit because I've had incidents in the Dominican Republic, man. With some of the cats in the airport, working in the airport, and they'll say some slick stuff, and you be sitting here looking like you be like, bro, you black, bro. It's like really,
Exactly.
you like a shade off than me. It's real strange, man. How do you like the DR though? I just left there a couple of weeks ago. I had a good time. How you like the DR still?
I just left. A few days ago. I was there
Yeah.
for
Okay.
5 days, man. And like brothers that see me comment post on DR a lot, man. Like it's the same story. Like I was really hype. I was I tried to have a lineup on Tinder, but once you touch down, man, women flake. they'll say I haven't got to know you long enough. So I end up, my experience, I end up either hooking up with an average, super average Dominican or nothing at all, because it's just always some BS. You know what I mean? And I was in Santo Domingo, by the way. So I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of DR when it comes to just going out, having drinks, smoking hookah, the scene. But when it comes to like hooking up with women, man, it's either their expectations of you spending money all the time, or or flaking on you. So that's how I am with it right now.
Man, Dominican women, man, they can be a trip sometimes. There's some good ones out there, but they can definitely be a trip. Now, let me ask you this, bro. What did you have to take a PCR COVID test to enter South Africa?
Yeah, I needed a PCR test within 72 hours. As with most African countries, you need to have a yellow fever vaccine card. But when I went to South Africa, they didn't ask for to look at it. So, but those are the main things required: the PCR test and the yellow fever vaccine.
Now, you say yellow fever vaccine. You get that in the States?
I actually got mine in Brazil because a brother had posted in a group saying that there's a place you could get the vaccine for free. So I went when I was in Brazil last time. I went to this clinic and got the yellow fever vaccine for free and got my vaccine card. So it's more expensive in the U.S. I heard.
And how long does it last?
It's for life.
Oh, it's for life. Okay. And what was the flight time? You flew out of DC to Africa, or?
Yeah, I flew out of DC. I flew Ethiopian Airlines because those are two countries that I hit up. So I flew Ethiopian Airlines from DC to Ethiopia, then from Ethiopia to South Africa.
And how long was the flight?
The flight from DC to Ethiopia was about 13 hours. And then the flight from Ethiopia to South Africa was like 6 hours.
Okay. And did you have like a layover in Europe or something?
No. Ethiopian Airlines, I flew directly to Ethiopia.
Man, what did you do on that flight for 13 hours, bro?
Man, adrenaline was running, man. I was up. I tried to sleep a little bit, watching movies, reading, I'm used to it now. I'm used to traveling so much that I could just, zone out.
Did it have movies on the flight?
Yeah, they got movies on the flight.
Okay, and you're a pretty tall cat, man. You stay. How are the seats on the plane?
I always try to make sure I stay in like the front row of like the economy, so like I get the most leg room. It definitely got to be an aisle seat, man.
Oh yeah,
aisle seat.
Oh yeah, man. So you touched down to Ethiopia first, right?
Well, I went to South Africa first, but my connection was in Ethiopia.
Okay, so you touched down in South Africa first.
Yeah.
Okay, and the flight time from DC to South Africa. I thought you said it was from DC to Ethiopia.
Yeah, it was a layover.
Oh, okay, I got you. So the layover was in Ethiopia, then you flew to South Africa.
Yeah.
Nice. Now, what's the weather out there like that out there in South Africa right now?
I went to 3 different cities, so it's approaching their winter, so to speak. So in Johannesburg, I would say it was like in the high 60s, and then like Cape Town was a little cooler, maybe like 65-ish, and then Durban was pretty mild, so I would say like in the mid 70s.
Nice. And you did you did a very detailed post. And in the post, are you explaining to brothers that they need to travel to South Africa? It might be better than the South American countries.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I wanted to put South Africa on the map, man. I know people have traveled there before, but most of the brothers in our circles, they haven't really seen someone that they kind of recognize where they can feel comfortable in their analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So when I put that trip report out, and brothers was like really like, all right, since he said it, I showed, I posted plenty of receipts. They was like, all right, he put the stamp of approval. So now a lot of brothers are really interested in going. But I wanted to show in that post that, I broke down different cities, the pros and cons, and I just kind of broke down, my experiences just visiting South Africa for the moment. And then, and then I kind of addressed some other stereotypes brothers make it, there's a lot of excuses people make to not visit South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
We can get into that later.
And what's your favorite city in South Africa?
My favorite city I visited was Durban.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So most people when they have visited South Africa, is usually Johannesburg or Cape Town.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to Durban, which is another city that has an international airport. So
mm-hmm.
for South Africa in general, most all international flights come in from either going Johannesburg or Cape Town.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why most people end up going to those cities. But Durban was a city that, one of the third largest cities. So I said I gotta visit that city.
Nice. And as far as price wise, how much on average do you think that a good Airbnb in a nice area is going to run a brother?
I think I spent no more than between 35 and 40 a night for a nice Airbnb in a good area.
Okay, that's pretty much standard. That's pretty good. It's actually a little bit lower than standard, but yeah, that's pretty good. And how much is the food out there?
The food is pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see your money stretched in like food, transportation, even getting haircuts out there, for example. I mean, it's gonna be, it's gonna be like, $5 or less, based on our currency. So those things are pretty cheap.
Yeah, and what is the currency exchange rate over there to our dollar to their? What do they use? They do dinar or something like that?
South African currency is abbreviated ZAR.
Uh-huh.
It's called rands,
Uh-huh.
RANDS, rands. So I usually do analysis on the currency exchange rate, but I kind of felt like every dollar was about 3 to 4 times stronger. So, probably similar to more like, Colombia.
Oh, really?
Or Brazil as far as the buying power.
That's funny, man, because I heard that South Africa is very expensive. So it's not that expensive.
It's expensive in certain cities, and then it's expensive. People make it expensive because Cape Town, for example, is a city where they pop bottles and ball out. So to stand out and to be part of the in crowd, yeah, you're gonna spend money because you want to be seen and you want to be noticed.
Okay. I got a question from Antoine Johnson. He says, "Is English spoken widespread out there?"
I mean, English is spoken widespread. I mean, some people don't speak it clearly, or they have a different accent the way they speak English. So it is their official government language. But there's a lot of people, from tribes. So most people first language is a tribal language, and usually people know other tribal languages. So you got like people that speak Zulu, Xhosa, and in English, and then it may be other tribal languages they know.
Excellent. Brothers, do me a favor, hit the like button when you come into the room. We got 68 watching. Also, I'm going to drop in the chat. Subscribe to his brother's channel, YouTube channel, No Excuse Entertainment, man. His brother drops a lot of good, valuable information on his YouTube channel, man. I watched a couple of your vids out there in South Africa as well, brother. Look beautiful out there, man. The areas you was at.
Oh yeah, it's very beautiful, man.
So it's not what the American media shows. Now I know because of social media, everybody knows Africa is not like this, ramshack continent no more. Africa is coming up, but Did you see any little bad neighborhoods while you was out there in South Africa or anything, or it's just pretty much nice for the most part?
Well, in Johannesburg looked really rough. I mean, they have like I stayed in like an area called Maboneng, which is like in the downtown area. Is kind of like a hipster, kind of like a hipster vibe, artistic vibe. But there was a lot of people sleeping on the street at night. A lot of men walking around. It kind of reminded me of like, I have references to like Camden, New Jersey, or west side of Chicago. So I mean, it looked really creepy at night, and I could see why it is one of the more dangerous cities in South Africa. And even the nicest part of Johannesburg, which is called Sandton, what I mean? It really wasn't, for me, it really wasn't that much nicer. I mean, it was kind of dated. It just didn't seem new. So I really wasn't feeling Johannesburg on the appearance. And then obviously they have a lot of safety issues. And when you go to the clubs and stuff, you're gonna see more men than women because women, cities where women don't feel safe, they're not gonna go out as much. Like, like a Chicago, for example. So there's a lot of rape, there's a lot of robberies. So the downside with Johannesburg is when you go out, it's probably gonna be more men than women. You know what I mean? That's Johannesburg. Now, Cape Town is a little different. Cape Town was a little bit more upscale, luxury, a little bit more bougie. Women are accustomed to guys, going out buying bottles, spending money. I was with a chick in Cape Town. She hung out with me. She didn't bring a bag of clothes with her. And she expected me to go to the mall and buy her an outfit, to go home. And then, me being who I am, I wasn't going for it. And she was like, well, this is how things go here. And I'm like, guys ain't doing that. You ain't gonna run that game on me. But but I could tell the mindset is Cape Town is very bougie. Like a lot of guys like it. There's a lot of beautiful women there, but it wasn't my favorite city. And before I forget, there's a strong Nigerian presence in South Africa. So women love Nigerians because Nigerians spend money. They pop bottles. A lot of them say the Nigerians or West Africans in general have a better sex game than South African men. So West African men, Nigerian, Ghana, West African men in general, and even Black American men, because we're mostly perceived as being from West African descent. So they look at us in a higher regard towards their local men.
Okay. Now I remember when I had you mentioned that Johannesburg was pretty dangerous. I remember that Jabril from Passport Heavy was actually robbed out here in Johannesburg, and I think that really hurt tourism for a while because he has a pretty big following, and to see that he might have been set up by one of the maids or something like that, and they came in the house and drew down. That left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, man. So when you was in Johannesburg, did you feel like that danger element? I know you say you feel like kind of unsafe, but do you recommend brothers go there, or you say you should stick to Cape Town and Durban?
I mean, if time permits, I would say check it out because some brothers do like it. You know what I mean? Like my homie Kino, you know what I mean? He loved Johannesburg. I seen that video, Jabril. Him getting robbed, and there's other people in other circles I know where people been robbed, at gunpoint or home invasion. So like, it's real. I didn't feel unsafe because I stayed. If you go to Johannesburg, stay in a hotel, or I stayed in an Airbnb, which was a hotel on like the first 3 levels, and then it was like loft in a higher floor. So I still had the hotel entrance and hotel security, but you want to stay somewhere. Even me staying there, they had signs that say we are now responsible for, if your place get broken into. So I'm like, damn, like this is supposed to be a hotel, right?
Right.
So I mean, you have to just move a certain way. I think brothers should visit, but I just think if you on limited time, I would just stick to either Cape Town or Durban.
Okay.
But if you got like 2 weeks, I would try to check out all three.
Okay. Shout out to Hot Ferns for the $4.99 super chat. I appreciate it, brother. He says, great content, brothers, and keep up the great work. Now, we got 85 in the room. I know what brothers want to hear. They want to hear about the women. The women, man. What was your experience with the women out there in South Africa, brother?
All right, man. I'm gonna break it down, man. So, pipelining, man. So, just keep in mind, brothers, that every country has different strategies on pipelining. So, for South Africa, the main sources was Tinder and Afro introductions.
Afro introductions. Let me write that down.
So, Afro introductions is part of the Cupid network. So, guys that's familiar with the Cupid websites, you got like Latin American Cupid, Colombian Cupid, Dominican Cupid, Brazilian Cupid, Thai Cupid. They got all these different branches. And then Afro Introductions is part of that branch. So Afro Introductions was pretty light as far as the amount of women on Afro Introductions. So I think I probably just kind of caught one nice one from Afro Introduction. But Tinder, I was waking up every morning to at least 100 matches.
Oh, wow.
So, Johannesburg has the most. I would say I had the most matches on Tinder from Johannesburg, then Durban, and then Cape Town was like kind of light. So when I went to Durban, I think I had like 4 chicks lined up already. And like each chick that I met, showed me love, showed me around, showed me love, in the bedroom, what I mean? And it wasn't like, it wasn't no paid transaction or anything like that. Like these are women that looked at me, made me feel like I was one of the most attractive men that they ever met. Which you don't really get from women in the United States. Like women in the United States don't compliment you. Even if you look nice, they're kind of downplayed. They don't really gas. Women don't really want to gas your head up in the U.S. But them women gas my head up. They was like, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. Your skin, you're tall. Like, they made me feel like a dime. You know what I mean? So, the women I had in Durban, man, I would say they was the most. I got the most pipelines in Durban, man. And I think that was one reason why it was my favorite place. And then the spots they took me to, it was always something to do each day of the week, man. But Durban is like Zulu, what they call kind of like Zulu territory. So it was a lot of thick women. I wish you had some of the videos, man. But it was a lot of thick women in the malls, nice shape, easy to approach. Any woman I talked to out there to get their number. Some even said they had a man and was just like, one chick told me, she's like, well, I got a boyfriend today, but tomorrow could be something different.
It's like that out here too.
But Durban women showed me so much love. I can't wait to go back, man. And then in Cape Town, I would say I only really pipeline with one. That was probably like the hardest city for me to really pipeline. I think maybe because a lot of women, Cape Town is a smaller city. I don't really think there's a lot of available women in Cape Town, and then maybe they just have better options locally where they don't really need to be online like that. And Johannesburg, I had a lot of matches. Johannesburg, I had the most attractive woman I hooked up with was in Johannesburg. The bodies. I just, it was so many women with bodies with just flat stomachs, fat butts. You know what I mean? And then, they have a certain facial, they have certain facial features, but they're cute. You know what I mean? And then a lot of guys say, oh, they wear a lot of weave. In person, that's not the case. A lot of women wear their hair natural. Culturally, they cut their hair. They cut their hair and keep it short. But when women, sometimes women want to look nice and dress up, so they may put on a wig or they may put in some weave. But in person, they typically rock their natural look. And I don't want guys to think that all you're gonna see is weaves and stuff like that, because they don't rock it like that all the time.
Nice. And in general, I know it might be a little different because you're an American and they're gonna put on their best front, for an American guy. But the attitudes, how are the attitudes out there? Are they, nice? How was it?
I would say the attitudes, was pretty nice. You know what I mean? They try to use some American lingo like fuck nigga and
oh really? Wow.
There's some language that they use. They're very in touch with how we speak and and stuff like that. So you will get that, but they're more soft spoken, they're more soft spoken, they're more gentle. You know what I mean? So to us,
are you saying that they're more feminine?
They're more feminine.
Okay.
They would never reach the level of aggression that you would see in a woman in the U.S. You will never see that level of aggression from a woman.
Interesting. Now, as far as the dating, because I know in Nigeria, if you intend on marrying a woman, sometimes you have to pay the family a dowry. Is it the same setup out there as well, where you might have to pay a dowry to marry the woman?
Yeah. A few women I talk to, they say, if you want to marry me, you'll have to meet my father and talk to my uncles and negotiate. But then some women say, we've kind of moved away from that traditional, and we can just get married, regularly. But some women will marry you traditionally, going to a courthouse or getting married legally. But if you want to get married, if you want to have a tribal wedding, then you have to do the formal, dowry. They use a different word, but you have to go through the formal things. But they was like, it's negotiable. Like, like whatever you could afford, that's what it'll be. So, you don't really have to worry about going through loops with that.
Shout out to Young J216. He says, get the lights up. Yeah, fellas, do me a big favor and hit the like button. Now, let me ask you, bro, in South America and sometimes in Colombia and Brazil, women will date Americans to try to manipulate their ways back to the States or to the States for the first time. Is it like that out there like that at all? Do the women want to come to the States and that's why they're trying to date Americans?
No, most of the women that I talk to, they either been to the United States or know people that been to the U.S. They say they don't like. They say they don't like the U.S.
Oh wow!
And South Africa is first world. Like they're, they have their own country, and they have a first world. They have first world amenities. So coming to America to a lot of them is a downgrade.
Oh wow!
That's
crazy.
It's a downgrade. So no, you ain't gonna have it. And then South Africa is probably the least represented one of the least represented African countries that visit the U.S. So if they wanted to travel here, they could, because the United States usually allows countries that have less representation, come here easily. But no, they're not really chasing no visa.
Okay, and in South Africa, we heard a lot of news about the apartheid and what they were struggling with from the last British. I think British colonized them, stuff like that. Is there still some type of racial turmoil between blacks and whites out there?
It is. You definitely see the segregation. White people seem more in check, because the governments, and there are political parties that want to they want to take back their country or take back certain things. They want to minimize white influence and control in the country. So white people are kind of on alert right now. And black people are waking up. It was funny because I was at a restaurant and I was talking to an African guy, and I was like, how you feel about white people, influence and things like that. And he was like, before, we used to be scared of white people, and I was like, wow, but he was
Wow,
like, now. It's crazy, man. He was like, now if a white person get out of line, he'll say, I'll say, F you, So, so what is crazy though, like, for to hear a black person say, I have fear of white people, you won't hear that from a black American.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all, bro. That's why I was shocked. I'm like, in Africa? I'm like, what? Because we're the minority in America and they're the majority in Africa. So why would you be afraid of the minority?
Exactly. It's crazy, man. I said there's some brainwashing going on there.
Mm-hmm. That is crazy, man. So we wrapped up on South Africa. Now, how long was you in Ethiopia?
Oh man, I was in Ethiopia, man, for 8 days.
Nice. That's a good little minute. You get the vibe. How's the nightlife out there?
So I mean, Ethiopia does have they do have a lot of clubs and bars. But the culture is very different. So I mean, I would say, they didn't really have no curfew. That's another thing. They did have a curfew in South Africa to midnight. But Ethiopia was pretty much open all night,
Is the COVID bad out there in South Africa?
They have, I would say it's similar to the US as far as how they handling cases.
Mm-hmm.
They do have vaccines roll out and stuff like that, but people are not interested in taking vaccines either. So,
mm-hmm. And how are the women in Ethiopia? Because I know Ethiopia is Africa, but it's a little bit of a different phenotype and a different culture. Like, how do they treat Black Americans over there in Ethiopia?
Well, Ethiopia, man. To my surprise, man, Ethiopian women were. Before I went to Africa, my mind was saying Ethiopians are the finest Africans.
Mm-hmm.
Based on Ethiopians we see in the United States, I said they got to be the finest Africans. Going to Ethiopia, they not as fine as I thought they was as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the women are, I would say, average looking. They're not thick. They're not thick. So most of them are thin. You're not going to see a lot of big booty women in Ethiopia like that. And a lot of them was average looking, man. I mean, you definitely see some fine ones here and there, but I was kind of shocked and kind of disappointed because I thought Ethiopian women, I thought you was gonna see bad. I thought I was gonna be breaking my neck, left and right. And I think I had mentioned this in like a post, like Colombian women is crushing Ethiopian women by far. And Ethiopian women are not the finest Africans. I would probably say, I mean, South Africa, I would say got some of the finest women in Africa, And
did you do any pipelining for Ethiopia as well?
Yeah, I did some pipeline in Ethiopia. So the thing with Ethiopian with the women is, I mean, I didn't, I was nervous because I'm like, man, I might not hook up with none. I may just meet them and they might be really, be really reserved and stuff like that. But, all the women I met in Afro introductions, like first night hooked up. But the only caveat is they don't do head. Most of them don't do that.
Okay.
So I was probably
I've heard that before.
I'll say I was 1 for 4 on getting head. And then the head I got, it was okay. It was okay. And I couldn't really, bless her like I wanted to bless her, right. But yeah, man, it was just different, man. Like the women was average. I mean, the sexual experience was very basic, and it just wasn't. It's nothing motivated me to want to go back, unfortunately.
Oh wow. Oh wow. And as far as the exchange rate in Ethiopia, is it cheaper than South Africa?
Oh, definitely more cheaper. I mean, I got like, in the US, I usually pay about $30 to get my hair cut. There, I got like my haircut, they washed my hair, did like a facial, all this stuff. And I think when I paid, I think I ended up paying like $3, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they spent like an hour on my face and hair, and I paid like $3. I was like, man, so yeah, taxi's really cheap, man. I think, I was paying like 50 cents to $1 for transportation. Like it's cheap. It's definitely cheap, but I did get kind of strong arm pickpocketed there. So they're more the Ethiopians are a little bit more, they are more aggressive and bold in general. It definitely has a Middle Eastern feel. I could
Mm-hmm.
definitely see how anything could pop off at any moment, man. So I was by myself for the most part, even though I linked up with some guys that live out there. But it's definitely a place where you want to be you want to be in twos, walking around.
Mm-hmm.
When
Would
I
you?
got pickpocketed from my phone, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even want to walk around no more. I just wanted to take taxis everywhere.
So somebody you say strong arm pickpocket you? What exactly happened?
All right, so I'm gonna give y'all. So this is like a technique, and they could do this in other places. Um, I'm gonna use a situation in Brazil first that happened to me. So in Brazil, like Rio de Janeiro, right? Anybody that walked on Copacabana at night knows that it's a Copacabana. There's a lot of transvestites in that area. They kind of hang out in a
Mm-hmm.
certain spot. But like if you
Mm-hmm.
walk in, you might get approached by a group of them, and they may just be touching. They may just be touching on you, like trying to flirt with you, and then somebody might be trying to reach in your pocket. But most of the time, you should be able to, once you feel somebody reaching by your pocket, you could kind of like stop that and avoid it. So what happened in Ethiopia was that I was walking, and like some guy like grabbed my arm like this, like it
Mm-hmm.
was like shaking it. So my brain is focused. My brain is like focusing on that, and then also him holding it is causing some type of pain. So when your
Wow.
brain when your brain focuses on pain in one area, you're not gonna feel you're not gonna notice anything in another area. So while somebody was grabbing my arm, somebody had to pull my phone out my other pocket without me
Mm-hmm.
even noticing it. So when I got back to my hotel, I was like, damn, because I have two phones. So I was like, man, one of my phones is missing. And I was like, man, they must have got me when dude was like grabbing my, because he was like, he was like doing it like, can you help me out with some, like, give me some money, give me some money. But it was like young kids. So I damn near want to call it robbery without a
Mm-hmm.
gun.
Right. Right.
But I was like, they bold
Mm-hmm.
because, don't nobody really come up to a person like, and I'm tall and I'm bigger than them. Don't nobody really come up to, wouldn't in the U.S. that wouldn't happen. It would be a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So they really bold. I'm not the first person. I've heard multiple stories about people getting pickpocketed for their phone in Ethiopia. So yeah, it's not the safest place for tourists. I'll say
Mm-hmm.
that.
And in Ethiopia, do they have like a little tourist area that tourists hang out at?
I mean, I was in a tourist area called Bole,
Mm-hmm.
but it attracts a lot of people that want to, you know, take advantage of tourists. So it's not really a tourist area; it's just the most busiest area in the city.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nothing to look at or anything like that.
Wow, wow. And you were saying that you felt actually more safer in South Africa than you did Ethiopia?
Yeah, I mean, I feel not. I mean, Johannesburg, you got to be on alert. Definitely got to
Mm-hmm.
be on alert. But I did feel the most safest in Durban for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting, man. And the food in Ethiopia, is is a different type of food than it would be in South Africa? What was that?
I mean, I really was. I'm a food, I'm a food guy, man. But I really wasn't impressed with the food in either countries, to be honest with you. I
Oh
mean,
wow! Now
Ethiopia.
you in South Africa?
Nah, I mean, I had some good food in South Africa, but it wasn't South African food. It wasn't South African cuisine, I should say that. So I'll say in South Africa, for example, like their traditional dishes like tripe, which is like either goat intestines or cow intestines,
Oh
and
no, I don't do the
they kind
intestine
of
thing.
yeah. So this chick had ordered some. She had ordered some tripe, and and they have like this little porridge. It's like it's basically like cornmeal, like mashed up cornmeal. And then you basically put the bread in the juice or whatever like that. Well, basically, it smelled like a bowl of poop. A bowl of poop.
Whoa. Like, so basically chitlins, basically. We call them chitlins down south.
Basically chitlins, but they don't, at least in the US, my grandma, they used to clean the chitlins. They used to clean it good. Yeah.
I never could do it, bro. I've never ate chitlins before. I can never do it.
They cook unclean intestines.
Oh my goodness. And I know you was looking at her kind of like funny style, right? Because you dating her, so you like.
I did taste it though. I did taste it, but I was like, nah, I can't do it, man. So that was with South African food, man. And then Ethiopian, people seem like the Ethiopian dishes where you eat with your hands. They got the Jembretta bread. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. And then you pick up different parts of the food and eat it. I mean, it really wasn't. My palate just really wasn't feeling it like that. So I was just eating like burgers and like pizza, like most of my time in Ethiopia. So on a food tip in general, and I've heard this from other people as well, Africa in general, they don't, their food is not going to be as good as what we're used to in America or even Latin America. So.
Oh wow, that is crazy. I always thought that in Africa they were going to throw down in that kitchen. I thought it was assumed to be the best food.
No, that's why a lot of African Americans, a lot of people say we could open, if we open up restaurants in Africa, like it'll pop.
You know what, man? I'm not gonna lie. That's the one thing I do miss about America. Even in Colombia, sometimes the food you be like, man, like why did y'all even make this type of dish? Like they just have like rice and it'd be rice, fat back, a hot dog, and a piece of stale ass bread. And you be looking at them like this, this is it. So that's the one thing I can say about, and I've called a food snob before, but I'm not a food snob, man. I just like tasty food, if I'm gonna pay for it. And that's one thing that I kind of give Colombia like a not so great score is some of the food, unless you get an Afro Latina or something like that, and she throw down in the kitchen or something. Because they do kick a different palette of food, like on the coastal lines and stuff like that. But I'm just really shocked, man, that Africa food wasn't on point. Because even, I'm not even gonna lie, even Brazil, the food I had in Brazil, I wasn't really impressed with the food until I went to the favela. That's when I was like, okay, cool, we got some food now. But all along Copacabana, I lost maybe about 10 pounds because I didn't even want to eat their food. Way too much salt.
Right. Even somebody just commented, man, like I did eat at some Indian restaurants, and the Indian food was good. The Indian food was very good out there, So I would definitely check out Indian restaurants if you're in South Africa for sure.
Now, when you was dating the Ethiopian women, is it the same situation with a dowry and all that? If you decide to, move forward and be in a relationship with her, you got to talk to the family and all that stuff?
When I asked questions about it, I didn't really get that. I don't think it's a dowry system like that in Africa. No, I didn't get that feedback.
You're talking about Ethiopia?
Yeah, Ethiopia, yeah.
Okay. So You suggest that brothers fly into Durban, first city, and do from Durban to Cape Town.
Yeah, if you only have let's say a week, I would say fly into Cape Town and then buy a round trip ticket from like Cape Town to Durban, which you could probably get less than $100. 50 to $100, you could probably get a round trip ticket. So I would do those two cities on a short trip. If you got a long trip like 2 weeks, I would definitely try to do 4 days in Johannesburg. I'll probably try to do 4 days in each city because everybody is gonna have a favorite city based on their personality and what they like. So
Which
Durban is
one?
just my
Which city
favorite
has
city.
the beach?
The big beach.
And which city has the beach? Yeah.
Oh, Durban has beaches. Cape Town has beaches. Durban is a warmer city, so you could enjoy the beaches more. When I was in Cape Town, it was like in the 60s, so I really couldn't enjoy the beach. They do have seasons in Africa. In Cape Town and Johannesburg, they do have seasons, so you do want to go at the right time of the year.
And is it like the water out there? Is it more like Brazilian kind of water, or is it kind of like that Caribbean water?
I would say more like Brazilian, the water. I didn't
Oh
do I
man,
didn't
okay.
do I mean, the beaches. There's a lot of beaches, so I didn't really get to check out as many beaches as I wanted to. But the sand and stuff like that was clean, pretty. So, they do have some nice looking beaches for sure.
Nice. And are the beaches set up where you can approach women on the beaches, or it's more like family stuff like that on the beaches?
No, you could approach women on the beaches. I mean, like the woman, I think like the photo I sent you with like those two women. I was walking on the beach and I just seen them hanging out, and I was like, let me get a picture with y'all, and they was pretty cool about it.
Nice. And as far as like being American, is it the same kind of thing? When they find out you're American, that they kind of instantly own you like Brazil and Colombia, or is it more like a little bit laid back?
No, I mean they don't really care if you're American or not. It's just like okay,
Okay.
because I mean being South African is a pride that comes with that. So they feel as prideful as being South American as we feel as being American with our passport. So, and that was something I noticed too. I had brought up was that Ghana had the year to return, right? And people that was visiting Ghana during the year of return, they was getting like this warm reception from people, like welcome home, welcome brother, welcome sister. You know what I mean? Like it was it's a deep understanding on what it means for a Black American to come to Africa for the first time. Like West Africans understand that. But when I went to Ethiopia and South Africa, I didn't get that warm reception. It wasn't like, welcome back or, people didn't really care or really wrap around like, okay, they don't know how much it takes for a person to come to Africa for the first time. So they really didn't share those feelings that West Africans share when we come to Africa for the first time. So, what I mean? So I didn't get that warm reception like I thought I would get.
So in Cape Town, it's more like whatever, you're just another tourist.
Yeah, I mean, in South Africa in general, you just because they get a lot of tourists from other African countries. So South Africa is a melting pot of other African countries. So I'm just somebody from another African country, basically.
Nice. Well, brother, I appreciate you being on the show, man. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it on up, man. Thanks for giving all the good information, brothers. Do me a favor, subscribe to No Excuse Entertainment. I'm gonna drop a link in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to his brother. He has some really dope content. Like I said, I was checking your channel out when you was out there in South Africa. You was going live out there, right?
Yeah, I did some lives, man. I'm gonna be dropping some one-on-one interviews that I have with ladies. I'm gonna be uploading some more Ethiopian content. I got a lot of content from Ethiopia. So please subscribe, what I mean, so you can check everything out, man. And also I'll be dropping content in like the various Facebook groups out there.
Right, because you created the No Excuse Entertainment Facebook group as well.
Yeah, we have No Excuse Travel. And then I'm also part of Black Man's Option, the Black Man's Option group as well.
Excellent, man. Do you see maybe a group trip to South Africa? You think South Africa is, nice enough to set up a group trip down there?
I mean, I would love to do a group trip out there, man. I mean, I think it'll be good. I mean, I think that'll be a good destination. I know a lot of brothers been thinking about it, but they just don't know the inner workings. But I definitely got clubs, places to go, what I mean, to put something like that together.
Nice, man. Because when you talk about Africa, everybody's thinking about Ghana or Nigeria, but South Africa is up there. I mean, when you hear South Africa, it does have like a little bit of a prestige to it. Like, damn, you've been to South Africa, how was it? And for the most part, you hear people say, good things about South Africa.
Right, so and one of the best things about South Africa, and the reason why I want to visit it is there's only three countries in South Africa where you can own residential land outright, whereas other African countries that have 99-year leases and things like that. But as an investor, as someone that wants to, to be able to want to buy or sell your property and have free title, anything like that, there's only 3 countries in Africa: South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia. So I want to visit those other 2 next. But South Africa, if you're interested in owning land in Africa, South Africa is definitely a place to look into, and they have a lot of cheap options. And the homes are nice. I went to when I went to Durban and I went to like the suburbs. Like I thought it would probably get more poor the further I went out, but it was just nice. Like I drove in a taxi for like 45 minutes out, and and people had homes. Black people had homes, suburban feel, and it's nice. So, somebody in Botswana right now, man. I need intel, man.
Get some intel on that.
But it's nice, man. If you got $10,000, research South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia, and buy something.
Oh wow! So you can go ahead and purchase land out there even if you're an American, with no issues.
Yeah.
That's very good to hear, man. Because in some of these other countries, when you try to purchase land, like in the Philippines and stuff, you start seeing some little crazy little things you got to do. And you like, nah, I'm not gonna try to marry a woman just to buy no land, and she take the land. So that's good, man. That's very good. Well, brother, I appreciate you coming on the show once again, man. We're gonna do this again sometime, man. We discuss next time. What's your next travel date?
My next travel date is Halloween weekend, man. I'm hoping for a return to Thailand, man. Hopefully Thailand.
Oh yeah.
Is back. So that's my next back.
That's what's up, man. Well, once again, man, appreciate you coming on the show, brother. Salute.
All right, salute, man. See you soon, bro.
All right, bro. Peace.